I stood in my parents' dining room, watching my mother scream and my father point his finger at me like I was some kind of criminal. Amber sat at the table with that smug little smirk on her face, arms crossed, enjoying every second of this. My parents were yelling in unison now, their voices blending into one furious demand. Apologize to your sister, or you are not family anymore. The words hung in the air like a threat. I looked at Amber, that smirk. I smiled back and said the words that would change everything. Fine. She can pay her own tuition then. Dad turned ghost white. Mom grabbed my arm as I turned toward the door. Her fingers dug into my sleeve with desperate strength. Hugo, wait, please. You cannot be serious right now. Think about what you are saying. Dad found his voice, though it shook in a way I had never heard before. Son, let's all just calm down and talk about this like adults. I looked back at the dining room table. Amber still sat there, but the smirk had faltered just slightly. She was watching me with narrowed eyes, calculating. She thought I was bluffing. She thought I would cave like I always did. But I was done. Let me tell you what happened 3 hours before this moment. I had driven over to my parents' house for our usual Sunday dinner. Nothing seemed unusual. I walked in, hugged Mom, shook Dad's hand, waved at Amber, who barely looked up from her phone. Normal family stuff. Except I needed to grab something from the guest room upstairs where I sometimes stayed over. I had left my laptop there the previous week. When I walked into that room, I found my laptop sitting open on the desk. The screen was dark but not closed. Someone had been using it. My stomach dropped. I touched the trackpad, and the screen lit up. My banking website was still open. Not just my checking account, my investment accounts, my savings, everything. I felt cold all over. Someone had gone through my financial files. I checked the browser history. They had opened emails too. Emails between me and the university bursar's office. Emails between me and the mortgage company. Emails showing every single payment I had made for the last 5 years. $45,000 a year for Amber's private college tuition. 3 years running. That was $135,000 right there. $2,800 a month for my parents' mortgage. 5 years of that. $168,000. Car payments for Dad's truck. Utility bills. Credit card payments for both of them. I had been keeping meticulous records because my accountant needed them for tax purposes. Every transaction was documented. The grand total was over $380,000. I had paid my family $380,000 over the last 5 years. I sat down on the bed, my hands shaking. Someone had deliberately gone through my laptop to find this information. There was only one person who would do that. Amber. I went downstairs and found her in the kitchen, making herself a sandwich. I kept my voice calm. Amber, were you on my laptop? She did not even look at me. So what if I was? You went through my private financial information. She turned then, and I saw something in her eyes I had never noticed before. Something cold and entitled. Yeah, I did. You have been hiding how much money you actually have. I wanted to see for myself. I told you when you started college that I would help with tuition. I never said I was rich. You make 6 figures, Hugo. Stop acting like you are struggling. She took a bite of her sandwich. Besides, you owe us. We are family. I felt anger rising in my chest. I am cutting you off after this semester. Her face changed instantly. The casual indifference vanished, replaced by shock and then fury. What did you just say? You heard me. I am done. I have been living in a studio apartment while paying for a 4-bedroom house. I drive a car that is 10 years old while Dad drives a brand new truck that I am making payments on. I have not taken a vacation in 5 years because every spare dollar goes to keeping this family afloat. And you went through my private files like you had some kind of right to my money. Amber's face turned red. You selfish jerk. After everything this family has done for you, what has this family done for me? I am the one doing everything for all of you." She slammed her sandwich down on the counter. "Fine, if that is how you want to be." She stormed out of the kitchen. I heard her running up the stairs. I thought maybe she was going to her room to cool off. I was wrong. 10 minutes later, Mom and Dad came home from grocery shopping. I was still in the kitchen, trying to calm down. The second they walked in, I heard Amber upstairs, crying. Loud, theatrical crying. Mom dropped the grocery bags and ran upstairs. Dad followed. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, listening. Amber was sobbing, telling them I had screamed at her, that I had threatened her, that I had said horrible, abusive things. None of it was true. I had never raised my voice. But she was painting a picture of me as some kind of monster. Mom and Dad came down 10 minutes later. Their faces were set in identical expressions of anger and disappointment. Dad pointed to the dining room. "Sit down. We need to talk." That was when the screaming started. They did not ask for my side of the story. They did not question whether Amber might be exaggerating or lying. They just assumed I was the villain. Mom was crying, saying I had always been difficult. Dad was red-faced, saying I owed Amber an apology immediately. Amber came downstairs, eyes red and puffy from crying. Real tears, too. She was good. She sat at the table and looked at me with those wounded eyes. "I just wanted to understand why you were being so secretive, Hugo. I thought we were family." Mom put her arm around Amber. "Your sister has been so worried about you. We all have. You've been acting strange for months." I tried to explain. I told them Amber had invaded my privacy. I told them I had every right to keep my financial information private. I told them I was exhausted from carrying the entire family financially while getting zero appreciation. Dad cut me off. "We never asked you for help. You offered." That was not true. They had asked. Over and over. Every month brought a new emergency that required money, but they were rewriting history right in front of me. "You should be grateful you can help your family," Mom said. "We raised you. We fed you. We put a roof over your head for 18 years. You owe us." That was when they delivered the ultimatum. "Apologize to your sister, or you are not family anymore." And that was when I said the words that made Dad's face go white. "Fine. She can pay her own tuition then." Now, standing by the door with Mom's hand on my arm, I pulled away gently but firmly. "I need to tell you something. All of you." Dad crossed his arms. "This better be good." I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I turned the screen toward them. "This is my checking account. See that automatic payment scheduled for the 15th? That is Amber's tuition. $7,500. See this one? That is your mortgage, Dad. $2,800. This one is your car payment. $495. This one is the electric bill at this house. $160. This one is the water bill. $85. Mom was staring at the screen, her face pale. "Hugo, what are you saying?" "I am saying that I have been paying for everything. Every single bill. For 5 years. My name is on every utility account. Because your credit is destroyed and the companies would not approve you. I have paid over $380,000 to keep this family running." The room went silent. Amber was no longer smirking. She was watching me with wide eyes. Dad tried to recover. "Well, you make good money. You should help family." I looked at him. "Dad, you told Grandma last Christmas that business was great. You told Uncle Gary you were thinking about buying a vacation home. You have been lying to everyone about your financial situation while I have been quietly keeping you from drowning. And not once have any of you said thank you." Mom's voice was small. "We thought you wanted to help." I did want to help, past tense. But I am done being used. I am done being taken for granted. And I am definitely done being treated like the bad guy when I am the only reason you still have a house. Amber stood up. "You would not really cut us off. You are too much of a pushover. Watch me." She laughed. but it sounded nervous. Besides, what will Grandma say when she finds out you abandoned your family? She will never forgive you. Everyone will know what kind of person you really are. I looked at each of them. Mom, crying. Dad, angry and embarrassed. Amber, scared but trying to hide it behind bravado. Here is what is going to happen. I am going home. Tomorrow morning, I am calling the bank and removing all of you as authorized users on my accounts. I am canceling every automatic payment. I am contacting the university to tell them I will not be paying next semester's tuition. I am done. Dad stepped forward. You cannot do this. Watch me. I walked to the door. Mom followed, grabbing at my shirt. Hugo, please. Let's talk about this. We can work something out. I gently removed her hand. You had a chance to talk. You chose to scream instead. You chose to believe Amber without even asking for my side. You made your choice. I opened the door and walked out. Behind me, I heard Dad yelling. If you walk out that door, you are no longer our son. I kept walking. Amber shouted from the doorway. You will be back. You always come back. I got in my car and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw all three of them standing in the driveway. Mom was crying. Dad was yelling something I could not hear. Amber's smirk was completely gone now. She looked frightened. Good. Monday morning, I woke up with a sense of purpose I had not felt in years. I made coffee, sat at my small kitchen table in my studio apartment, and started making calls. First call. My bank. I explained that I needed to remove several people as authorized users on all my accounts. The representative was professional and efficient. Within 20 minutes, my parents and Amber no longer had any access to my money. Second call. The university bursar's office. I explained that I would no longer be making tuition payments for Amber starting next semester. The woman on the phone was sympathetic. She said they would notify Amber that she needed to arrange her own payment plan or apply for financial aid. Third call. The mortgage company. This one was trickier. The mortgage was in my parents' names, but I had been making the payments from my account through automatic transfer. I explained I needed to stop the automatic payments. The representative warned me that if the mortgage went unpaid, it would affect my parents' credit and could lead to foreclosure. I know, I said. That is their problem now. Fourth call. The electric company, then the water company, then the gas company. Each time, I explained I was no longer responsible for the bills at that address. Each time they transferred the accounts back to my parents' names. Each time they warned me about potential service interruptions if bills went unpaid. I knew what I was doing. I was cutting the cord completely. By noon, I had made 15 phone calls. Every automatic payment was canceled. Every authorization was revoked. Every connection was severed. My phone started ringing at 2 in the afternoon. Mom. I did not answer. She called 6 more times. Then Dad called 8 times. I blocked both numbers. Tuesday morning, I had 23 missed calls from Mom and 15 text messages, all variations of the same theme. Stop being childish. We need to talk. You are being ridiculous. Answer your phone. I deleted them all. Wednesday afternoon, my apartment building's front desk called me. Sir, there is a woman here demanding to see you. She is causing quite a scene. I checked the security camera app on my phone. The building had cameras in the lobby. I saw Amber, pacing back and forth, crying and gesturing wildly. The security guard was trying to calm her down. I called the front desk. Do not let her up. If she does not leave, call the police for trespassing. 10 minutes later, I watched on the camera as 2 police officers arrived. They spoke with Amber. She pointed toward the elevators, crying. The officers shook their heads. After 15 minutes of conversation, Amber finally left. She was forcibly escorted out by security. I felt nothing. No guilt, no sadness, just relief. Thursday evening, my phone rang from a number I did not recognize. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Hugo? This is your Aunt Patricia. Hi. Aunt Patricia. Her voice was cold. I just got off the phone with your mother. She is devastated. What is going on with you? Did she tell you what happened? She said you abandoned the family over nothing. She said you are refusing to help them anymore, and they do not understand why. That is interesting. Did she mention that I have been paying all their bills for 5 years? Did she mention that Amber went through my private financial files? Did she mention they screamed at me and demanded I apologize when I did not do anything wrong? Patricia hesitated. She did not mention those things. I tried to explain everything. The laptop, the $380,000, the way they took my help for granted, and then turned on me the second I pushed back. But Patricia cut me off before I could finish. Hugo, I do not care about the details. Family is forever. You do not abandon your family over money. That is just selfish. She hung up before I could respond. I sat on my couch, staring at my phone. This was how it was going to be. They had already poisoned everyone against me. The narrative was set. I was the bad guy. They were the victims. Friday morning, my phone buzzed with an alert. It was from my credit monitoring service. Someone had attempted to open a credit card in my name. The application had been submitted from my parents' address. The requested credit limit was $50,000. My blood ran cold. I immediately called the 3 credit bureaus and placed fraud alerts on my accounts. Then I started digging through my recent bank statements, looking more carefully this time. That was when I found them. Small charges I had not noticed before. Online purchases, restaurants, concert tickets. Over the last 6 months, there were dozens of unauthorized charges totaling $8,000. Amber had stolen my credit card number. She had been using it to fund her lifestyle, while crying to our parents that she was broke. I called my credit card company and reported the fraud. They canceled the card immediately and started a dispute process for all the unauthorized charges. Then I sat down and wrote an email to my father. I attached screenshots of the fraudulent credit card application. I attached images of all the unauthorized charges. I wrote one sentence. This is why I am done. I hit send. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. It was Dad. Subject line was final warning. His voice was shaking with rage. If you do not restore all the payments by Monday, we are disowning you. Do you hear me? Amber is our priority. She has her whole life ahead of her. You are being selfish and cruel. Do not bother coming to Thanksgiving or Christmas or any family events ever again. You are dead to us. I felt a strange calm settle over me. Disown me then. I am filing a police report for identity theft. I hung up. Saturday afternoon I was sitting at my desk, filing out the police report online, when my phone rang again. Another unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hugo? This is your Grandma Helen. My heart sank. Grandma Helen was my mother's mother, 75 years old, and the matriarch of the entire family. When she spoke, everyone listened. When she made a decision, it was final. Hi, Grandma. Her voice was stern. Hugo, what is this nonsense I am hearing? Your mother called me crying. She says you have cut off the family. Grandma, if I could just explain what happened. No explanations needed right now. You come to my house tomorrow, 2 o'clock. We are going to sort this out as a family. Grandma, I do not think that is a good idea. 2 o'clock. Hugo, do not make me come get you myself. She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, feeling the first flicker of hope in days. Grandma Helen was fair. She was tough but reasonable. If I could just explain everything to her, maybe she would understand. Maybe she would be the one person who would actually listen. Sunday afternoon, I drove to Grandma Helen's house. It was a beautiful colonial in the nicest part of town, paid off decades ago. I had spent countless summers there as a kid. It felt like a safe place. I should have known better. I walked up to the front door and rang the bell. Grandma opened it, her face unreadable. "Come in, Hugo." I stepped inside and froze. The living room was full of people. My parents, Amber, Aunt Patricia, and Uncle Gary, my cousins Jake and Madison. Everyone was sitting in a circle, all eyes on me. This was not a conversation. This was an ambush. Grandma Helen gestured to an empty chair in the center of the circle. "Sit down, Hugo. We are going to talk about this situation and figure out what is going on." I sat slowly, feeling like I was on trial. Everyone was staring at me with expressions ranging from disappointment to outright hostility. Only Madison, my cousin, would not quite meet my eyes. Grandma settled into her armchair, the place of authority. "Now, Hugo, tell us your side of things." I took a deep breath and started from the beginning. I explained about the laptop, about discovering Amber had gone through my financial files, about the $380,000 I had paid over 5 years, about the conversation in the kitchen where I told Amber I was cutting her off, and how she had immediately run to our parents with a completely false story about me threatening her. Amber interrupted, her voice breaking. "That is not true. He did threaten me. He was screaming at me." I never raised my voice. Mom jumped in. "Hugo, you have been acting so strange lately. We have been worried about you. This behavior, cutting off your family, it is not normal. We think you need professional help." Dad nodded. "We are concerned about your mental state, son." I felt anger rising but kept my voice level. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I turned the screen toward Grandma. "These are my bank statements. 5 years of payments. Every single transaction is documented." I swiped through screen after screen, showing automatic payments, wire transfers, checks written, mortgage, car payments, tuition, utilities, credit cards, everything. Grandma leaned forward, squinting at the phone. She did not say anything. I continued. "I also have evidence that Amber used my credit card without permission. $8,000 in fraudulent charges over 6 months. And someone, using my social security number, tried to open a $50,000 credit card from my parents' address. I showed those documents too. The credit card application, the fraud alert, the disputed charges." The room was silent for a moment. Then Amber spoke, and I realized she had been ready for this. She had planned her defense. She pulled out her own phone, tears streaming down her face. "Hugo gave me permission to use that credit card. Look, I have text messages." She held up her phone. The screen showed a text conversation, messages that appeared to be from my number, saying she could use the card for family expenses, saying I wanted to help her. Those messages were fake. I never sent those. Amber was crying harder now. "I cannot believe you are trying to frame me for fraud when you told me I could use it. This is exactly what I was afraid of. You are being controlling and manipulative." Mom put her arm around Amber. "My poor baby. I am so sorry you are going through this." Dad glared at me. "You see what you are doing to her? This is abuse, Hugo. Financial abuse." I felt the room turning against me. "No, those messages are fabricated. Look at the metadata. Look at the actual phone records." But no one was listening anymore. Aunt Patricia spoke up. "This is exactly like Hugo. He has always needed to be the center of attention." My cousin Jake nodded. "Dude, you make like 6 figures. Just help your family. Why are you being so difficult?" Madison stayed silent, staring at her hands. Uncle Gary added his voice. "Your parents raised you, fed you, clothed you. You owe them. This is basic human decency." I tried to speak, but Grandma Helen held up her hand. "Enough. I have heard enough from everyone." She stood up slowly, her expression grave. "Hugo, I am very disappointed in you." My heart sank. Family takes care of family. Your parents need your help. Your sister needs your support. This bitterness and anger you are carrying, it is not healthy. You need to forgive Amber. You need to restore the payments. Grandma, please, just listen. I am not finished. She walked over to her desk and picked up a folder. I have been thinking about my will lately. I was planning to leave you the lake house and $100,000. The lake house. The place where I had spent every summer of my childhood, swimming and fishing and reading on the dock. It was worth at least $600,000. More than that, it was priceless to me emotionally, Grandma continued. But if you cannot support your parents in their time of need, then I cannot support you. Unless you restore all the payments and apologize to Amber, you are being removed from my will. Everything will go to your sister instead. The room spun. I looked around at all of them. Mom and Dad looked satisfied. Amber was smiling through her tears. Aunt Patricia and Uncle Gary nodded approvingly. Jake looked at me with pity. Madison still would not meet my eyes. I stood up. You want to know the truth? I have spent 5 years sacrificing everything for this family. I live in a studio apartment. I drive a car that is falling apart. I have not taken a vacation or bought myself anything nice, because every dollar went to keeping all of you comfortable. And the second I say no, the second I establish a boundary, you turn on me. Mom started crying. We never asked you to sacrifice. Yes, you did. Every month, every emergency, every crisis. And I helped because I thought that is what family did. But real family does not weaponize love. Real family does not manipulate and lie. Dad stood up. You need to leave. I looked at Grandma Helen one last time. You really believe them? You really think I am the villain here? She did not answer. I walked to the door. Fine. Keep the money, keep the house, keep your lies. But when your bills come due, when the bank forecloses, when Amber's tuition gets denied, do not call me. I left, slamming the door behind me. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, hands shaking. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Madison. I believe you. But I cannot say it out loud. I am sorry. It was something. Not much, but something. I drove home and sat in my apartment, feeling utterly alone. I had lost my entire family in the span of a week. My parents, my sister, my extended family, my grandmother, my inheritance, everything. My phone buzzed again. An email notification. I opened it, expecting another angry message from my father. Instead, it was from the county sheriff's office. A legal notice. I had been served with a lawsuit. I downloaded the attachment with trembling hands. The document was 30 pages long. My parents and Amber were suing me for financial elder abuse and breach of oral contract. They were claiming I had promised lifetime financial support, creating a reasonable expectation of continued payments. They were arguing I had coerced them into dependency and then maliciously abandoned them. They were seeking $500,000 in damages. The attorney listed on the filing was someone named Ryan Garrett. Court date was in 30 days. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling like the ground had opened up beneath me. Then my apartment buzzer rang. I checked the security camera. There was a man in an expensive suit standing in the lobby. Next to him was Amber, smiling. I picked up the intercom. Yes? The man spoke. Mr. Hugo? I am Ryan Garrett, attorney. Your family has retained me. I have some documents for you. I am not coming down. That is fine. I will leave them with your building security. He paused. But I would recommend you get a lawyer. This lawsuit is very serious. He handed an envelope to the security guard and left. Amber waved at the camera before following him out. I went downstairs and retrieved the envelope. Inside was a summons and a copy of the full complaint. The claims were outrageous. They painted me as a controlling, abusive person who had forced my elderly parents into financial dependence and then cruelly cut them off when they dared to question me. There was nothing about the $380,000 I had voluntarily paid. Nothing about Amber's fraud. Nothing about the identity theft attempt. Just a narrative of me as a villain. I called a lawyer the next morning. Benjamin Cross's office was downtown, occupying the 15th floor of a glass tower. He was in his mid-50s, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He listened to my entire story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. This is one of the most egregious cases of family manipulation I have seen, but it is going to be expensive to fight. How expensive? $15,000 retainer to start. Total costs could run $30,000 to $50,000, depending on how hard they push. I felt sick. That was most of my savings. The good news is their case is frivolous. Financial elder abuse requires proof of coercion or undue influence. You voluntarily gave them money. There is no crime in stopping voluntary payments. And a breach of oral contract claim is nearly impossible to prove without documentation. What about the forged text messages Amber showed? We will need a forensic expert to examine those. That is another few $1,000s. But if they are fake, we can prove it. What about the identity theft? File a police report immediately. That strengthens your case and gives you leverage. I signed the retainer agreement and wrote a check for $15,000. There went my emergency fund. Benjamin promised to file a motion to dismiss within 2 weeks. In the meantime, I needed to gather every piece of documentation I had. Bank statements, emails, text messages, everything. I spent the next week building my case. I printed out 5 years of financial records. I compiled emails showing my parents asking for money, despite their claims they never requested help. I documented every automatic payment. By the time I was done, I had a 3-inch binder full of evidence. But the damage to my reputation was already spreading. Wednesday afternoon, I got a notification on my phone. Someone had tagged me in a Facebook post. I opened the app and felt my stomach drop. Amber had posted a long, emotional message. Heartbroken. My brother has abandoned our family in their time of need. My parents are facing foreclosure, and my college tuition is about to be denied, all because Hugo decided money is more important than family. I do not understand how someone can be so cruel. Please keep us in your prayers. The post had 300 shares already. The comments were brutal. What kind of person abandons their own parents? Money is not worth destroying your family over. This Hugo guy sounds like a real piece of work. I hope karma gets him. My name was being dragged through the mud publicly. People who did not know me, who did not know the full story, were calling me selfish and cruel. I wanted to respond, to defend myself. But Benjamin had told me not to engage on social media. Anything I said could be used against me in court, so I watched in silence as my reputation was destroyed. Thursday morning, I got a call from my boss, Frank. "Hugo, can you come to my office?" I went upstairs, wondering what this was about. Frank closed the door behind me, his expression uncomfortable. "Hugo, I have received some concerning emails about you." "What kind of emails?" "Anonymous ones. About your personal situation. About a lawsuit. About allegations of elder abuse." My face burned. Those allegations are completely false. I am being sued by my family in retaliation for stopping financial support. Frank nodded slowly. "I am sure that is true. But we have to take these things seriously. I am going to need you to take administrative leave while we conduct an internal review." I felt the floor drop out from under me. "You are suspending me? With pay?" "But yes. I am sorry, Hugo. We will resolve this as quickly as possible." I was escorted back to my desk to gather my personal belongings. My coworkers watched in silence as I packed up my laptop and photos. The walk to the elevator felt like a death march. I sat in my car in the parking garage and tried not to cry. Friday afternoon, my phone rang. It was a number I did not recognize, but I was tired of avoiding calls. "Hugo?" This is Natalie, my girlfriend. We had been dating for 10 months. She had been strangely quiet all week, not responding to my texts with her usual warmth. Thank goodness you called. I have been trying to reach you. Her voice was stiff. Hugo, I have been thinking. About us. About everything that has been happening with your family. I have been meaning to talk to you about that. It has been really hard, but I have a good lawyer and we are fighting the lawsuit. That is the thing, Hugo. I talked to my parents about this situation. My heart sank. What did they say? They are concerned. They think you might be the kind of person who just walks away when things get difficult. What if we get married someday and have kids? What if you decide to just leave us too? Natalie, that is completely different. I did not abandon anyone. I stopped letting them use me. I do not know, Hugo. This whole thing makes me uncomfortable. I need someone I can rely on. Someone who values family. I value family. Real family. Not people who manipulate and lie. She was quiet for a moment. I think we should take a break. Maybe permanently. I am sorry. She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, feeling like my entire life was collapsing. No job, no girlfriend, no family, savings draining away to legal fees. Everything I had built was crumbling. Saturday morning brought another nightmare. A call from Detective Sarah Murphy with the local police department. Mr. Hugo, we need you to come down to the station to answer some questions. What is this about? Your sister filed a report claiming you stole $50,000 from the family. She says she gave you money to invest, and you kept it. That is completely false. I never took money from them. I gave them money. We still need to talk. Can you come down this afternoon? I called Benjamin. He agreed to meet me at the station. The interrogation room was small and cold. Detective Murphy was professional but skeptical. She asked me dozens of questions about my finances, about my relationship with my family, about the allegations. I answered everything honestly. Benjamin sat next to me, occasionally stopping me when a question was inappropriate. After 3 hours, Detective Murphy finally said I could go. We are taking your laptop and phone for forensic analysis. You will get them back when we are done. How long will that take? Could be weeks. I left the police station feeling violated and exhausted. They had taken my phone and laptop, my lifelines to the outside world. I had to buy a cheap replacement phone just to function. Benjamin tried to reassure me. This is harassment, Hugo. Pure and simple. They are trying to drain you financially and emotionally until you give up and pay them. Do not let them win. But it was hard to stay strong. My savings were down to $45,000 after legal fees. I had no income. I was under investigation by the police. My reputation was in tatters. Sunday night, I got an anonymous package delivered to my apartment. No return address. Inside was a stack of papers. I flipped through them and felt my blood turn to ice. They were promissory notes. 4 of them, each for $25,000, dated over the past 2 years. Each one had my signature at the bottom. The signatures looked remarkably like mine, but I had never signed these documents. I had never even seen them before. These were forgeries, sophisticated ones. I called Benjamin immediately, even though it was late. He answered, sounding tired. They forged promissory notes. They are going to use these in court to prove I owed them money. Benjamin swore. Bring them to my office first thing Monday morning. We need a handwriting expert, a good one. How much will that cost? $20,000, maybe more. I had $25,000 left after that. My safety net was almost gone. I sat on my couch, holding those forged documents, and felt despair wash over me. They had thought of everything, every angle. Every defense I might raise they had a counter for. They were going to win. Monday morning, Benjamin looked at the documents under a magnifying glass. These are good, really good. Without an expert analysis, a jury might believe them. Can we prove they are fake? Yes, But it will take time and money. He looked at me seriously. Hugo, I have to be honest with you. You might lose this case. The forgeries are convincing enough to create reasonable doubt, and your family has painted you as the villain so effectively that public sentiment is against you. So what do? We keep fighting. We expose the truth. But you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that justice does not always win. I left his office feeling hopeless. That night, at 11 o'clock, my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera, expecting another process server or maybe the police. Instead, I saw a man I did not recognize. He was in his 30s, well-dressed but disheveled. He had a black eye and a split lip. I opened the intercom. Can I help you? The man looked up at the camera. Are you Hugo? I need to talk to you. Right now. It is about your sister. Who are you? My name is Trevor. I am Amber's fiancé. I felt like I had been punched. Fiancé? Amber was engaged? Was. Past tense. She just cleaned out my bank account. I came here because I found something. Documents about you. And I recorded her tonight. You need to hear this. I buzzed him in. Trevor sat on my couch, holding an ice pack to his eye. He looked like he had been through a war. Start from the beginning, I said. He took a deep breath. I met Amber 6 months ago at an open house. I am a real estate agent. She was charming, beautiful, fun. We started dating. 4 months in, I proposed. I thought she was the love of my life. What happened? She asked to be added to my bank accounts. For wedding planning, she said. I trusted her. Tonight, I checked the balance, and $87,000 was gone, transferred to an account I did not recognize. My stomach dropped. Did you confront her? Yeah. She went crazy. Started screaming that I was accusing her of stealing. Then she hit me. He gestured to his face. I have never had a woman hit me before. I left and went to her apartment to clear my head. Why her apartment? She gave me a key. I went to pick up some of my stuff, and I found a folder. He pulled out a manila folder from his bag. It was labeled with your name. He opened it. Inside were practice sheets with my signature written over and over. Photocopies of the promissory notes, before and after the forgeries. Bank statements showing where Trevor's money had gone, straight to my parents. Emails between Amber and my mother, planning their strategy against me. And this. He pulled out his phone and played an audio recording. Amber's voice came through the speaker, clear and unmistakable. Do not worry, Mom. Hugo will cave eventually. And if he does not, we will just use Trevor's money. The forged notes will hold up in court. Hugo is too stupid to prove they are fake. We will bleed him dry and move on. I sat there, stunned. This was it. This was the evidence I needed. Trevor looked at me with anger and pain in his eyes. I want my money back, and I want to destroy her. Will you help me? I looked at this man, this stranger, who had walked into my nightmare. Yes, I will. Trevor and I sat in my apartment until 3 in the morning, going through everything he had found. The practice signature sheets were damning. You could see Amber's attempts to forge my handwriting, getting better with each iteration. The emails between her and my mother laid out their entire plan. Reference Hugo's guilt. Play up the family card. Make him look unstable. How did you even think to record her? I asked. Trevor rubbed his bruised face. I have been suspicious for a couple of weeks. Small things. Money disappearing. Her being secretive about her phone. Tonight when I confronted her about the $87,000, her reaction was so over the top that I knew she was lying. When she hit me, I left, but I turned on my phone's voice recorder before I went back inside her apartment. She was on the phone with your mom, celebrating. We called Benjamin at 6 in the morning. He was not happy about the early hour, until I told him what we had. Bring everything to my office. Now, by 8 o'clock, we were sitting in Benjamin's conference room. He reviewed each piece of evidence methodically, his expression growing more satisfied with each page. This changes everything. The audio recording might have admissibility issues since California is a two-party consent state, but if Amber was discussing ongoing criminal activity, there is an exception. The practice signatures prove forgery beyond any doubt. The emails show conspiracy. What do we do? I asked. We go on the offensive. Benjamin started typing on his laptop. I am filing an emergency motion to dismiss the lawsuit, along with a motion for sanctions. I am also preparing a criminal complaint for forgery, fraud, and identity theft. And Trevor needs to file charges for theft and domestic violence. Trevor nodded, already planning on it. How fast can this move? I asked. Judge Thompson is hearing motions on Thursday. If he sees this evidence, he will dismiss their case immediately. Might even refer it to the DA right there in court. Tuesday morning, Benjamin filed everything with the court. By afternoon, the local news had picked up the story. Family fraud case takes dramatic turn. The same reporter who had covered Amber's social media post now wanted my side of the story. Benjamin advised me to make a brief statement. Keep it factual. Do not gloat. I stood outside Benjamin's office, with a news camera pointed at me. My name is Hugo. For the past several weeks, my family has been suing me and destroying my reputation based on false allegations. We now have evidence proving those allegations were fabricated. I look forward to the truth coming out in court. Short, simple, effective. The story went viral in our local community. The tide of public opinion started to shift. Wednesday, Detective Murphy called me. Mr. Hugo, we have reviewed the new evidence your attorney submitted. We are closing our investigation into you, and we are opening one into your sister. I felt a weight lift off my chest. Thank you. There is a warrant out for her arrest. Forgery, fraud, identity theft. If you see her, do not engage. Call us immediately. I will not be seeing her. By Wednesday evening, the local news was running stories about Amber's arrest. The footage showed her being taken out of my parents' house in handcuffs, my mother crying, my father shouting at the police. The comments on social media were brutal, but this time they were directed at my family, not me. I cannot believe she faked all those documents. That poor brother. He was telling the truth the whole time. The parents should be ashamed for going along with this. Thursday morning, the courtroom was packed. Word had spread about the case. Benjamin sat next to me at the defense table. Across the aisle, my parents sat alone. Their lawyer, Ryan Garrett, looked uncomfortable. Judge Thompson entered. He was in his 60s, with white hair and a reputation for having no patience for nonsense. I have reviewed the emergency motion and the evidence submitted by the defense. His voice was stern. This is one of the most egregious cases of fraud I have seen in 20 years on the bench. Ryan Garrett stood. Your Honor, my clients. Sit down, Mr. Garrett. The judge cut him off. The promissory notes presented by the plaintiffs are clearly forged. The evidence of this forgery is overwhelming. The audio recording, while potentially problematic from a consent standpoint, reveals active discussion of criminal conspiracy. The emails show premeditation. He looked at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Hugo, your daughter is currently under arrest. You participated in this scheme. I am granting the motion to dismiss. Furthermore, I am imposing sanctions. You will pay the defendant's legal fees in full. According to the billing statement provided, that amount is $48,000. My mother gasped. Your Honor, we do not have that kind of money. Then you will arrange payment. Additionally, I am referring this matter to the district attorney for potential charges against you both. He banged his gavel. This case is dismissed with prejudice. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed us. Benjamin made a brief statement about justice being served. I said nothing, just walked to my car. My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan Garrett. My clients lied to me about everything. I am withdrawing from their case. For what it is worth, I am sorry. Friday, there was another hearing scheduled. My parents had filed their petition for conservatorship weeks ago, claiming I was mentally unstable. That hearing was today. Benjamin and I appeared before Judge Martinez. She was younger, maybe 50, with kind eyes but a firm manner. She reviewed the psychiatric evaluation I had voluntarily undergone, at Benjamin's suggestion. The report was clear. Hugo shows no signs of mental illness or instability. He appears to be a rational adult, making reasonable decisions about his finances and relationships. Judge Martinez looked at the empty chairs where my parents should have been. The petitioners have not appeared. Given the recent revelations about their credibility and the clear evidence that the respondent is competent, this petition is dismissed. Another gavel. Another victory. Benjamin filed our counter lawsuit on Monday. The complaint was comprehensive. Malicious prosecution, defamation, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress. We were seeking $500,000 in damages, plus the return of every penny I had paid them over the years. Total, $880,000. My parents could not afford a lawyer. The case would proceed to default judgment. That same week, I started getting calls from extended family members. Madison called first. "Hugo, I am so sorry. I should have spoken up sooner. I should have believed you from the start. Why did you not?" I was scared. Scared of being ostracized like you were. It was cowardly. I appreciated her honesty. "We are okay, Madison. You reached out when you could." Aunt Patricia called next, crying. "I was so wrong about you. I am so sorry. Can you ever forgive me?" "I do not know yet, Aunt Patricia, but I appreciate the apology." Uncle Gary sent an email, a long one, explaining how Amber and my parents had manipulated everyone, how they had presented a false narrative, how he should have questioned their story. Slowly, tentatively, parts of my extended family started coming back, but not everyone. Grandma Helen did not call. 3 months passed. Amber's trial was set. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Trevor testified about the $87,000 she stole from him. I testified about the credit card fraud. The forensic experts testified about the forged signatures. Jordan, Amber's ex-fiancé from 3 years ago, testified about her pattern of manipulation. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The judge gave her 3 years in prison, 5 years probation, and ordered restitution. $380,000 to me, $87,000 to Trevor. My parents sat in the gallery, aged and broken. They did not look at me. The civil case resulted in a default judgment, $880,000 awarded to me. Collection would take years. Their wages would be garnished. Their assets would be seized. They had already lost the house to foreclosure. Their cars were repossessed. They were living in a tiny apartment, both working minimum wage jobs at age 70. I felt no satisfaction, just emptiness. 6 months after everything started, I was sitting in my apartment when there was a knock at my door. I checked the peephole. It was Grandma Helen. I opened the door slowly. "Grandma." She looked older than I remembered, tired. "May I come in, Hugo?" I stepped aside. She walked in and sat on my couch, her hands folded in her lap. "I owe you an apology. A massive one." I sat across from her, saying nothing. I knew, Hugo, the whole time. I knew Amber was lying. I saw who she really was years ago, but she is my granddaughter. I thought I could control the situation. I thought if I sided with your parents, I could keep the family together. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Instead, I pushed away the one person who had been honest all along. I was a coward. She pulled an envelope from her purse. "This is a new will. The lake house is yours. The money is yours. Everything I promised you is restored." Inside was a legal document, notarized and official, but there was also a handwritten letter, an apology, written in her shaky cursive, explaining everything, asking for forgiveness. "Can you ever forgive me?" she asked. I looked at this woman who had helped raise me, who had taught me to fish and to read, who had told me stories and made me cookies, who had also turned her back on me when I needed her most. "I do not know yet, Grandma, but you being here is a start." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "That is fair." She stood to leave, but paused at the door. "Your parents. They are struggling, Hugo. I am not asking you to help them. I am just telling you." "I know." She left. I sat there holding the envelope, thinking about everything that had happened. My phone buzzed. A text from Trevor. "Want to grab a beer? I met someone I want you to meet. Her name is Claire." I smiled. Sure. Life was slowly, carefully, starting to rebuild itself. Trevor and I met at a downtown bar that had become our regular spot over the past few months. He was sitting in a booth with a woman I did not recognize. She was around 30, with dark hair and an easy smile. "Hugo, this is Claire. She is an architect at my real estate firm. Claire, this is the friend I have been telling you about." We shook hands. "Trevor has told me a lot about what you have been through. I am glad things are turning around for you." We talked for hours. Claire was smart, funny, and refreshingly direct. She did not dance around the topic of my family situation. Instead, she asked thoughtful questions and listened to my answers without judgment. As the evening wound down, Trevor excused himself to take a phone call, leaving Claire and me alone. "Can I ask you something personal?" she said. "Sure. Do you regret cutting them off? Your family?" I thought about it. No, I regret that it came to that. I regret that they made it necessary. But I do not regret standing up for myself. "Good." She smiled. "Because from where I am sitting, you did exactly what you needed to do." A week later, Claire and I had coffee, then dinner, then a movie. It was casual at first, but something was growing between us, something healthy and genuine. She knew my whole story and never once made me feel like I was damaged goods. Instead, she admired the fact that I had fought back. My consulting business was taking off. After I was fired, I decided not to look for another corporate job. Instead, I started my own software consulting firm. Within the first month, I had 3 clients. Now, 6 months in, I had 8 employees working remotely. The income exceeded what I had made at my old job. I was working from a home office, setting my own hours, building something that was mine. One afternoon my phone rang. It was Benjamin. "Hugo, I have news. The court has finalized the asset seizure. Your parents' remaining property has been liquidated. You will be receiving a check for $112,000. It was a fraction of what they owed me, but it was something. Also, the wage garnishment is in place. You will receive monthly payments for the next several decades." I felt nothing. No triumph, no vindication, just closure. Madison invited me to a family barbecue at her house. It is just us, Uncle Gary's family, and Aunt Patricia. No drama, no ambushes. I promise. I went. It was awkward at first, but slowly we fell into old rhythms. Madison's kids played in the yard. Uncle Gary grilled burgers. Aunt Patricia brought potato salad. At one point, Jake pulled me aside. "Hey man, I owe you an apology. I was a real jerk during all that." "Water under the bridge, Jake." "No, seriously. I did not understand what you were dealing with. I just assumed money was not a big deal. I was wrong." We shook hands. The family was healing, piece by piece. Grandma Helen called me every Sunday now. We did not talk about my parents or Amber. Instead, we talked about the lake house. I had started renovating it, turning it into a place I could actually live someday. She gave me advice on contractors and design choices. Slowly, our relationship was mending. But then, 1 year after everything started, Trevor called me with urgency in his voice. "Hugo, You need to see this. Can I come over? He arrived 20 minutes later with his laptop. He pulled up Amber's prison correspondence records. Inmates' letters were public record if requested. She has been writing to someone. A guy named Marcus. He has been visiting her every week. So I looked into him. He is her new Mark. He is loaded, heir to a manufacturing fortune. And she is feeding him the same story she fed me, that she is innocent, that her family turned on her, that she needs help. I felt cold. Does he believe her? Trevor pulled up Marcus's social media. He has been posting about wrongful convictions and justice reform, all since he started visiting Amber. Yeah, I think he believes her. What do? We warn him. Trevor already had a plan. I am going to reach out to him, show him the court records, the evidence, everything. Will he listen? I do not know, but we have to try. Trevor contacted Marcus via a polite but direct message. I am someone who was victimized by Amber. I have court documents and evidence you need to see before you get any more involved. Marcus replied immediately. I appreciate your concern, but Amber has explained everything to me. She was framed by her brother and her ex. The courts made a mistake. Trevor sent him the audio recording, the emails, the practice forgery sheets, everything. Marcus went silent for 3 days. Then he replied, Thank you for sending this. I have decided not to visit Amber anymore. Crisis averted, but it was a stark reminder. Amber was still out there, still trying to manipulate people, even from behind bars. 2 years after the confrontation, my life looked completely different. My consulting firm now had 15 employees. We had clients across the country. I had moved out of my studio apartment and into a 2-bedroom condo with a view of the city. Claire and I had been dating for over a year. It was serious. We were talking about moving in together. Trevor had become one of my closest friends. We met for drinks every Thursday, a tradition we called Survivor's Night. Madison and her family came over for dinner once a month. Uncle Gary and Aunt Patricia sent Christmas cards and birthday gifts. Grandma Helen deeded the lake house to me officially. I spent weekends there, renovating it room by room. Claire helped me pick out paint colors and furniture. I had built a new family, a chosen family. People who supported me because they wanted to, not because they felt obligated. One Saturday afternoon, I was at the lake house working on the deck when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Hugo? This is your mother. I froze. We had not spoken in 2 years. Her voice was small and tired. I know I have no right to call you. I know you probably do not want to hear from me. But I needed to tell you something. What? Your father had a heart attack last week. He is okay, but it was serious. The doctors say he needs to reduce stress and take better care of himself. I am sorry to hear that. Hugo, we are barely surviving. We live in a 500-square-foot apartment. We both work 2 jobs, just to pay rent and the garnishment. Your father is 72 years old and stocking shelves at a grocery store. Mom, I did not do this to you. You did this to yourselves. I know. Her voice broke. I know we did, and I am not calling to ask for money or help. I needed you to know that I am sorry for everything, for not believing you, for letting Amber manipulate us, for choosing money over you. I sat down on the deck, my hand shaking. Thank you for saying that. Your father is too proud to call, but he asked me to tell you that he is sorry too. We were terrible parents. We failed you, and we have to live with that every day. I did not know what to say. Part of me wanted to forgive them immediately. Part of me wanted to hang up. Mom, I appreciate you calling. I do, but I need time. I understand. She paused. I am proud of you, Hugo, for standing up for yourself, for building a life without us. You deserved better than we gave you. She hung up. I sat there for a long time, watching the sun set over the lake. Claire came out and sat beside me. "You okay?" My mom called. "What did she say?" "That she is sorry." "Do you believe her?" "I think I do. But sorry does not fix everything." Claire took my hand. "No, it does not. But it is a start if you want it to be." I thought about that. Did I want them back in my life? Even in a limited way? I did not have an answer yet. That night, Grandma Helen called. "Hugo, your mother told me she reached out to you." "Yeah. What are you going to do?" "I do not know, Grandma. Part of me wants to help them. Part of me knows they have not really changed." "You do not owe them anything, Hugo. Not after what they did. But if you choose to have a relationship with them, do it on your terms. With boundaries. That is good advice. The lake house is coming along beautifully, by the way. I drove by yesterday. Thanks. Claire and I are thinking about having a housewarming party in the spring. I will bring pie." 3 months later, Amber was released from prison. She had served her full sentence. As part of her probation, she was required to make monthly restitution payments to Trevor and me. I received a letter from her parole officer. "Just wanted to inform you that your sister has been released. She is living in a halfway house and working at a call center. If she contacts you in any way, let me know immediately." I showed the letter to Claire. "How do you feel about that?" "Honestly, nothing. She is out of my life. I want to keep it that way." A week later, I received a letter from Amber herself. It was postmarked from the halfway house. "Hugo, I know you probably do not want to hear from me. I know I destroyed your life and our family. I am writing this letter because my therapist says I need to make amends. I am not asking for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. But I want you to know that I have been getting real help, real therapy. I am on medication for personality disorder. I am learning to take responsibility for what I did. I am truly, genuinely sorry. I understand if you never want to speak to me again. I just needed you to know that I am trying to be better. Your sister, Amber." I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. Claire found me sitting at my desk, staring out the window. "What are you thinking? That some bridges are burned forever? Do you think she is really changed?" "Maybe. I hope so, for her sake. But it does not matter. I have moved on." "Good." The following spring, Claire and I hosted the housewarming party at the lake house. Trevor came with his new girlfriend, Sarah. Madison brought her family. Uncle Gary and Aunt Patricia came with a plant for the deck. Grandma Helen brought 3 pies. We grilled food, swam in the lake, and watched the sunset from the newly finished dock. At one point, Trevor raised his beer to Hugo for surviving, for thriving, and for reminding us all what real strength looks like. Everyone cheered. I looked around at these people, my chosen family, the ones who had stood by me or come back when they realized they were wrong, the ones who loved me without conditions or price tags. This was victory. Not the lawsuit or the money or the vindication. This moment, this peace. Claire squeezed my hand. "Happy?" "Yeah, I really am." 5 years after that Sunday dinner when everything changed, I stood on the dock of the lake house watching the sunrise. The renovations were complete. The house was exactly what I had always dreamed it would be. A sanctuary. Claire was inside making coffee. We had moved in together 2 years ago, and last month I had proposed. She said yes. The ring had belonged to Grandma Helen, who had given it to me with tears in her eyes. "This is how it should be," she said, "given to someone who deserves it." My consulting firm now had 30 employees and offices in 3 cities. I had built something successful and sustainable, something that was mine. No one could take it away or hold it over my head. Trevor's real estate business was thriving. We still met every Thursday for what we jokingly called Trauma Survivors Anonymous. Just 2 guys who had escaped the same predator, now living their best lives. Madison was my closest relative now. Her kids called me Uncle Hugo. We spent holidays together, birthdays, random weekends, real family stuff, the kind that did not come with strings attached. Uncle Gary and Aunt Patricia had fully reconciled with me. They helped me paint the lake house. They came to dinner parties. They apologized regularly, and I had forgiven them. People make mistakes. What matters is whether they own them. Grandma Helen was 80 now, still sharp as ever. She spent summers at the lake house with us. We fished together like we had when I was a kid. The relationship had healed, though it would never be quite the same as before. Some cracks remain visible even after they are repaired. My parents. That was complicated. After my mother's phone call 3 years ago, I had agreed to meet them for coffee. Neutral location, strict boundaries. They looked old and worn down. Dad's hair had gone completely white. Mom's hands shook when she held her cup. They apologized. Really apologized. No excuses. No justifications. They admitted they had been wrong, selfish, manipulative. They admitted they had chosen money over their son. They took responsibility. I accepted their apology. But I did not restore our relationship to what it had been. We met 4 times a year now. Birthdays and holidays. Coffee or a brief lunch. Polite conversation. They asked about my life, and I gave them surface-level updates. They told me about their jobs and their small apartment. We did not talk about money. We did not talk about Amber. It was not warm. It was not close. But it was civil. And that was enough. They would never meet the grandchildren Claire and I planned to have someday. They would never be invited to family holidays at the lake house. They had burned that bridge completely, and I had no interest in rebuilding it. But I could have coffee with them 4 times a year without anger. That was growth. Amber. I had not seen or spoken to her since before her arrest. She wrote to me once a year, always around Christmas. The letters were different now. No manipulation. No excuses. Just updates on her therapy, her job at a nonprofit helping at-risk youth, her slow progress toward becoming a better person. I read the letters. I never responded. Trevor told me she had reached out to him too, apologizing and offering to set up a payment plan for the money she stole. He accepted the apology and the payments, but maintained boundaries. Maybe she really has changed, Trevor said one Thursday night. Or maybe she is just older and tired. Does it matter? I asked. Not to me. I do not trust her, and I never will. But I hope for her sake she has changed. I felt the same way. I hoped Amber had genuinely gotten help and become a better person. But she was not my problem anymore. She was not part of my life. And that was how it would stay. Claire came out onto the dock, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. She handed me one and leaned against the railing beside me. What are you thinking about? Everything. I gestured at the lake, the house, the morning. How different life is now compared to 5 years ago. Are you happy with how things turned out? I thought about it. Yeah, I am. I mean, I wish it had not required losing almost everything first. I wish my family had not turned out to be who they were. But I would not change my decision to walk away that night. What made you finally do it? Walk away? That smirk, the one on Amber's face. It showed me that to them, I was not a son or a brother. I was just a wallet, a resource to be exploited. And once I saw that clearly, I could not unsee it. Claire nodded. You know what I admire most about your story? You did not just run away. You fought back. I had to. They were trying to destroy me. A lot of people would have just given in, paid them off to make it stop. But you stood your ground. It almost bankrupted me, but it did not. And now look at you. Successful business. Beautiful house. Amazing fiancé. She grinned. I am pretty lucky. Later that afternoon, Madison and her family came over for a barbecue. Her kids ran around the yard, while the adults sat on the deck. Uncle Gary manned the grill. Aunt Patricia set the table. Grandma Helen told stories about learning to swim in this very lake 70 years ago. This was family, real family. People who showed up not because they wanted something, but because they cared. At one point, Madison's oldest daughter, Emma, asked me a question. "Uncle Hugo, why do not Grandma and Grandpa come to our parties?" The adults all went quiet. Madison looked at me apologetically. I knelt down so I was at Emma's eye level. "That is a complicated grown-up situation, Emma. But the short answer is that sometimes people hurt each other so badly that they cannot be close anymore. It is sad, but it is true." "Did they hurt you?" "Yeah, they did." "Do you still love them?" I thought about it. I guess I do. But love does not mean you have to keep people in your life if they are hurting you. Love can exist from a distance. Emma nodded solemnly, processing this. Then she hugged me and ran off to play. Madison whispered, "Sorry about that." "It is okay. She should understand that boundaries are healthy." As the sun set, everyone gathered on the dock for the ritual we had started last summer. Each person said something they were grateful for. Trevor went first. "I am grateful for second chances and real friends," Claire said. "I am grateful for finding someone who knows what real love looks like," Madison said. "I am grateful for family that chooses honesty over comfort." When it was my turn, I looked around at all these faces. People who had earned their place in my life. I am grateful for the courage to walk away from what was killing me, and the wisdom to build something better in its place. Later, after everyone had gone home, Claire and I sat on the couch inside. The fire crackled in the fireplace. She was reading a book. I was scrolling through emails on my phone. An email from my mother popped up. "Just checking in. Hope you are well. No pressure to respond. We are thinking of you." Short, simple, respectful of boundaries. I typed back, "Doing well. Hope you both are staying healthy." She responded immediately with a heart emoji. Nothing more. That was our relationship now. Polite, distant, not painful. Claire looked over. "Your mom?" "Yeah." "You okay?" "Yeah. I really am." And I was. 5 years ago, that email would have filled me with rage and pain. Now it was just a thing, an interaction, neutral. That was healing. Let me tell you what I have learned over the past 5 years. What I wish someone had told me back when I was drowning in obligation and guilt. Family is not just who you are born to. Family is who shows up, who supports you, who sees your worth. Not because of what you can give them, but because of who you are. You cannot buy love. You cannot earn it through sacrifice. Real love is freely given, not transactionally exchanged. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is survival. People who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. People who do not respect your boundaries do not truly care about you. Standing up for yourself is not cruel. It is necessary. You teach people how to treat you. If you accept mistreatment, you are teaching them that it is okay. Sometimes you have to lose everything to discover what really matters. I lost my parents, my sister, my inheritance, my job, my savings, and my reputation. And in return, I gained myself, my self-respect, my peace, my future. That trade was worth it. Someone asked me recently if I regret cutting them off. If I regret not just apologizing that night at dinner and keeping the peace. I told them no. Absolutely not. Because that smirk on Amber's face showed me the truth. I was not valued. I was used. And once you see that clearly, you cannot unsee it. And you should not try. Walking out that door was the hardest thing I ever did. It led to the worst year of my life. Lawsuits, arrests, investigations, betrayals. But it also led to freedom. Freedom to build a life on my own terms. Freedom to choose who gets access to me. Freedom to define family by actions rather than blood. If you are in a situation where your family is draining you, using you, or manipulating you, please hear this. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. You deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve to be valued for who you are, not what you can provide. And if they cannot see your worth, that is their loss, not yours. 5 years ago, I thought losing my family would destroy me. Instead, it saved me. Claire looked up from her book. You have that thoughtful look on your face, just thinking about how far we have come. We? All of us. Me, Trevor, even my parents in their own way. Everyone has had to rebuild. Do you think they have really changed? Your parents? I think they have learned consequences. Whether that is the same as change, I do not know, but it does not matter. They are not part of my daily life anymore. They do not get to hurt me anymore. That is fair. The fire popped, sending sparks up the chimney. Outside, the lake was dark and peaceful. This was home. This was peace. This was victory. Not the money I recouped or the lawsuits I won. Not the vindication or the apologies. This quiet evening with someone who loved me without conditions. This house that I built with my own money, that no one could take from me. This life that I chose, free from manipulation and obligation. This was what winning looked like, and it was enough. Before we finish, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to set a boundary with family that everyone else thought was too harsh? Have you ever walked away from people you loved because staying was killing you? How did you find the courage? Drop your story in the comments. You might help someone else who is struggling with the same decision right now. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and realize they are not alone. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through. And share this with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who is struggling with toxic family dynamics and needs to know that walking away is not only okay, it is sometimes necessary. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope you find the courage to put yourself first when you need to set the boundaries that protect your peace, and to build the life you deserve. Remember, you cannot force people to value you. You cannot buy love or respect, and you should not have to. Real family lifts you up. They do not tear you down. And if the people in your life cannot do that, then maybe it is time to find the ones who will. Take care of yourselves out there. You deserve it.